You know, I remember a time when otome games were practically unheard of in the West. When the idea of dating games for girls seemed as unmarketable as a motion-controlled diarrhea simulator. 5 years ago, if you'd have told me that we'd have an otome eroge on the horizon, and that I'd be sitting here making 3 hours of videos about imaginary boyfriends, I'd have told you to piss off. I'm trying to eat a fucking pikelet, man. And grab me a beer, too. But look at us now! We're fucking drowning in bishies! Old guys, young guys, naked guys, sweet guys, crazy guys, dogs, bunnies, birds. Dozens and dozens of otome are coming out all the time now. And you know what? I'm gonna review them all. That's right, Otome-Nia's back, baby. Bigger, better, bishier. God damn it, it's gonna be the same shit as last season, isn't it? Backstage Pass is about Shawn Gordon, a small, shy purple thing who's just started her freshman year of college. Her mother was a famous makeup artist, and as such, Shawn's incredibly gifted when it comes to the old blush brush. She soon finds her skills are in high demand, whether she's working with her childhood friend turned pop idol, a local cosmetics group, a spunky street magician, or helping out on the set of a hot new crime drama. Along the way, Shawn has to decide what kind of path she wants her life to head towards, and maybe even find somebody to love. That's the basic setup of Backstage Pass, and from there the game can go in a lot of different directions. It's up to you to decide what kind of skills and connections Shawn will focus on. What kind of entertainers will she work with? Will she devote herself more to love or to her schoolwork? And what kind of clothes will she wear? This game is massive, complex, and dwarfs pretty much every other Western otome game out there.
Characters Romance.
Adam Eaton, the poster boy, disheveled Hawaiian slacker, and up-and-coming superstar pop idol. You know how this goes. Almost every otome game out there has a main guy. The one who's on the front of the box, the one the girl hooks up with in the anime, the one who's almost always the most boring, cliched, by-the-numbers type 8 tsundere you could possibly imagine. You know this song and dance by now. So what the crap happened to Adam? He's absent-minded, lazy, immature, rebellious, and I actually really like him. He's not my favorite guy, but compared to the Walker's Originals plain salt and soon junk food I was expecting, he's like a breath of fresh air. I think the thing I like most about him is the way in which his route differs from all the other options. See, you've known him since grade school, and because of that, your romance is played more like the culmination of a lifelong bond than a whirlwind fling, and I love it. Adam's route feels genuine, down to earth, and really freaking gratifying. His personality is almost a direct contrast to Shawn's, and getting to see the way their differences play off each other is just great. John Brandon, Shakespearean sex god and Adam's current manager. He's a posh English actor who became massively successful as the star of a popular TV show that American Teaboos nerded over. But he wants to escape being typecast as his most iconic character, and so ends up taking a much darker, more villainous role in a new show. So he's Otome Bendy Toots Cabbage Patch. John's very businesslike, and finds himself wary of Shawn's naivety, along with her tendency to wither under pressure. He's got a sharp, biting tongue and an icy, clinical attitude, but underneath his apparent bastardry lies a man who's witty, wry, and very romantic. Also, he likes teasing you about the fact you think he looks hot with a scar. John was the first route I ended up on, and even now, he might just be my favorite. There's just something about him that's so enchanting. Wait. He's 35? God damn it! The one time I wasn't actively trying to go for the old guy, and I end up going for the old guy anyway! Jesus! Benito Zero, scene kid magician and facial piercing enthusiast. He's a genius street performer whose sleight of hand and wicked sense of humor makes him charming as hell to hang out with. Even though he's about 15. Wait, is that okay? I mean, don't get me wrong, I know age is just a number and all, but still it's... Look, I just feel awkward macking on a dude who can't even buy keyboard cleaner, you know? Benito works his one-man operation, shoes to the pavement, working hard as hell to achieve his dreams. He can be a little hot-headed at times, but for the most part, he's surprisingly mature and pragmatic for his age. He's got a long and rich backstory, but so much of his route is such a long series of surprises that I can't go into much more detail without spoiling the entire thing. Matthew Midnight. Wow, that's a porn star name. Matt is a stunningly gorgeous Adonis with a lucrative modeling career. Chiseled body, blemish-free face, hair like rich spun gold.
You know, the type who's always, I am beautiful and I am loved by many women, but I shall settle for this random chick because something Otome wish fulfillment. My honey.
So imagine my surprise when this seemingly stoic Bishonen turns out to be a sheltered, stuttering cinnamon bun, who's clumsy and awkward around women, rarely talks above a whisper, and clams up at the slightest provocation. It takes some effort to break through his anxiety, but when you do, you find a very thoughtful, likable, poetic soul whose mousy demeanor becomes strangely charming. Matt's adorable, even when compared to the game's other amazing characters. Next up is Nicole, part pixie princess, part catty queen bitch. She works as a model alongside Matthew, and her free-spirited, devil-may-care attitude hides a heart that's surprisingly sensitive. She's mercurial, sassy, snarky, and always adorable. Seriously, I love this girl. She's just so awful. But get on her good side and it'll blow you away how great it is having the sharp-tongued rich girl on your side for once, rather than as the token antagonist she'd be in most games. And it definitely doesn't hurt that she's voiced by one of my all-time favorite voice actors.
I know I'm kind of gushing right now, but dang it, she's just so cute! And gay.
Alvin, teacher's aide, math tutor, and lord of the dorks. He's the typical intellectual type, a lot more logical than emotional. But when it comes to the things he loves, he's a raging fanboy with a passion for film theory and special effects and cosplay. And, popular English TV shows that may or may not have starred your childhood friend's current manager. He seems like a throwaway character, but if you play your cards right and study your goddamn dick off, you can get to learn more about him. And as he opens up to you, it feels genuinely fulfilling when he comes up to you all like, "Hey, let's go watch my Night Errant Volume 6 box set in the video room and order pizza." I love him to death. Even his stupid-looking sweater vest. Lloyd Newton, ace director and complete disaster of a human being. Seriously, Lloyd is me if I were a 35-year-old gay man.
I love doing nothing, but creating stuff is cool too. And sometimes the urge to create stuff is 2% stronger than the urge to goof off and eat croissants.
The genius mind behind John's newest television hit is a lazy, petulant, scatterbrained doofus. He loves junk food, guzzling booze, and laughing at people getting viciously, brutally murdered in horror movies. Which makes him A-OK in my book. While he does love to party, and seems like a total flake at first, he's also incredibly genuine and cares deeply about his friends. And when the chips are down, he gets his shit in line. Lloyd is perfect, and I love him. Even though I had to do his route 4 times to get his ending, because man, fuck internet walkthroughs.
This section's getting kinda long, huh? And I'm still not done here. I haven't even talked about all the game's awesome side characters.
There's a snarky but down-to-earth camera woman who I really, really wish was dateable. There's Matt's overbearing mother, your teachers, the local photographer, the actors and actresses you work with. This game is massive, yo. But I know you guys don't want to deal with the first ever hour-long Otome-Nia episode, so let's just switch gears for now, shall we?
Gameplay.
Okay, I'm gonna start this part by simply saying I've spent around 60 hours playing this game, and I've only gotten 13 out of the 16 endings. I wasn't kidding when I said this game is massive. There's a shit ton of characters, a shit ton of gameplay mechanics, and a shit ton of everything. So let's get started.
The core gameplay mechanic in Backstage Pass is good old-fashioned stat raising. You have 4 main stats:
intelligence, fitness, charisma, and fashion, which you raise by performing various activities throughout the week. Doing homework boosts your intelligence, taking a morning jog bolsters your fitness, working as a makeup artist both improves your fashion and earns you money, and wasting time on the internet earns you subscribers and makes you more charismatic. Somehow. There's also popularity, which goes up periodically based on how strong your other stats are. Each potential partner has two stats they're most interested in. A primary stat, which gets you on their route and should be fairly obvious, and a secondary stat, which gets you the best ending, but may take a little more time to infer.
For example, the whiz kid Benito naturally wants a partner who's as sharp as a tack, but he's also interested in finding someone who's got a lot of social media savvy, since having an online presence would strengthen his reputation.
But that's not all. First off, you have to keep your GPA above 2.0 to keep yourself from failing out of school. And each action you take raises your fatigue score, and the higher your fatigue gets, the less your actions will raise your stats. Work too hard without any rest, and Shawn will collapse, making all your stats take a huge nosedive.
Putting more points into fitness can help you reduce the amount of fatigue you get from doing other stuff, but that means you're spending fewer turns boosting stats that your chosen partner cares about. Unless, of course, they're one of the routes that has fitness as a preferred stat, in which case... Wait, just give me a minute, okay?
What I'm trying to say is that the stat-raising mechanics are really advanced. If you've played the developer's earlier game, Realistar, then you know the drill. Except that in Backstage Pass, it's way more complex, with more stringent requirements, more mechanics, and it's obvious that a lot of thought has gone into these mechanics' design. Balancing work and school and earning money and dating and resting, which also shaves a couple points off your stats, but nowhere near as much as just falling over. It can be pretty bloody stressful. There's a lot you have to juggle in this game. And I found that in a couple of playthroughs, I couldn't quite pull it off. As I said before, Backstage Pass has 16 possible endings, and they're not all the happy love ends you'd expect. Some are focused on Shawn getting into the entertainment industry, and some are about Shawn completely failing to do anything. Shit, in one ending, you just sleep all day every day until your life falls apart. But one thing that really sets this game apart is the fact that you can pursue friendship routes, where you and your fave form a lifelong bond that is completely platonic.
The best part is, just being friends isn't treated like a consolation prize. They're entirely separate endings that offer new dialogue, new CGs, and a new perspective on certain characters. It's great! Now, where have I heard of an idea like that before?
Really? I'd love it if more games gave the option to decide the vibe of my romance as well as the guy. Cripes, could you imagine pursuing Shu as an equally soulless monster? Or flirting with Yuri as much as he does with you?
Wow, guess the Otage gods have heard my wishes. Now make no thank you to you bastards!
And when you're not busy doing homework, or doing John's makeup, you can head into town and do any number of things. Eating pho at the noodle shop reduces fatigue about as much as resting, but it costs money. You can also head to the local arcade to win all kinds of weird and wonderful prizes. You can head to the mall and buy items that boost your stats, gifts for friends and lovers, and clothes, because each character also has a certain style of fashion they find attractive, whether that's cute, cool, classy, or just whatever's in all the fashion magazines lately. Some video games and books also work to reduce your fatigue, but you'll want to be careful, as there are only about a dozen in the entire game, and they're single use only. So, once they're gone, they're gone. And even once you've gotten onto a particular character's dating path, you can call up the other characters to go out with you and share the fun. Take Lloyd to see a dumb horror movie, play arcade games with Alvin, or take Nicole out for croissants and kisses. After a few months of gameplay, you'll get access to the school's on-campus kitchen, and then you can spend money to devise delicious desserts to hand out to everyone you know. Some people prefer lighter, healthier treats, but others will drool over your triple chocolate cheese and bacon heart attack in a cup. Oh, and you can still check your emails like you could in Realistair, except that this time, you can actually reply to some of them, letting people know if you're available to work on various projects.
Presentation.
Backstage Pass is a game that's slick, shiny, and super saturated. Almost all the characters have bright neon hair and eyes that actually seem to glow a little bit. It's eye-catching, and maybe even a little garish, but shit, I love it! Every character in this game looks genuinely unique and appealing, and has this iconic quality, to the point where if I saw someone cosplaying Shawn or Benito at a convention, I'd recognize him instantly. The characters all have several different outfits they'll wear at different times of the year, different ways they'll do their hair, their makeup, and that's not even getting into the dozens upon dozens of different outfits you can wear. The clothes you buy to impress your guy actually show up in the dialogue box and event graphics. While the game is gorgeous, I will admit that in one or two CGs, the characters do look a little strange, usually when they're drawn from more unusual angles, but the sheer wealth of gorgeous artwork in this game is absolutely amazing.
Oh, and the UI is cute as shit too. I'm sorry, but I have a weird thing for games whose menus are as pretty as their half-naked men. Figure that out.
As for the soundtrack, it's incredibly upbeat, and while for most of my playthrough I didn't really notice it too much, there were still a few standout tracks that I really loved. The Daily Work theme is probably my favorite track, just because it's so lively and energetic that it made the countless hours of stat coordination feel fun and exciting. And holy hell, the voice cast for this game! Experienced industry voice actors who you probably know from a shit ton of anime. Names like Micah Solusud, Joel McDonald, Chris Sabat, Monica Rial, Erica Mendez, Sarah Williams, Austin Tyndall, Ian Sinclair. The list just goes on. This is an original English language visual novel with realistic, professional-grade performances, and that's something that would have been unheard of 5 or 10 years ago.
Also, mad props to Ian Sinclair for doing a fake English accent that was actually pretty good and didn't make me want to gouge my ears out with a freaking Q-tip.
And finally, check out this freaking opening animation. Yeah, not animation as in, hey, look at all these sprite cutouts swooshing around this pre-rendered background. I mean actually animated, in Japan, by Studio Dean. That's the same company who did Vampire Knight and Hetalia and the Hakuoki anime. That's cool as hell!
Final thoughts.
God damn, this game is freaking impressive.
Backstage Pass is a huge step forward in Western otome games. This might sound a little harsh, but in general, original English language visual novels tend to be pretty short and simplistic. You know, royalty-free music, stock backgrounds, simple game mechanics. Because making a visual novel at all takes an immense amount of time and effort. This game is honestly, in my opinion, the closest thing the Elven market has to a AAA otome game. The production values of this thing are just off the charts. Professional voice actors, real animation, loads of interactivity, and above all else, realistic characters.
Yes, the bells and whistles are downright dazzling, but the biggest thing that Backstage Pass gets right is the thing that makes good visual novels good. The writing. You can have as many gorgeous CGs and quirky minigames as you like, but if you're telling a story about one-dimensional, unlikable characters, it's all for nothing. And that's what blew me away about Backstage Pass.
The storyline is rich and multifaceted, and it touches on some pretty heavy issues, like mental health and casual racism. And it does so in a way that's completely organic. The characters are complex and naturalistic. They go through a whole range of emotions, and each of them has moments of weakness and misjudgment and just humanity. I've tried to sum these guys up as best I can, but I don't even really know if it's possible. I mean, take John for example. He's rational and professional, but also snarky and sexual.
He's an old-fashioned gentleman and a diabolical flirt. He's intellectual, eloquent, bullheaded, beautifully contradictory, and fundamentally human. And it's not just him. Every character in this game, from the camera crew to the people who post online to the... Hold the fucking phone. Is that Meruy from Realistair? What? What? Yeah, so, I kind of neglected to mention this, but Backstage Pass actually takes place in the same universe as Realistair. And there are a ton of subtle references to its predecessor. But for those of you who didn't play the first game, don't worry. The shoutouts are handled subtly and organically, so if you don't know what Rhythmwell Online is, it doesn't matter.
This is fan service done so right, and I love it, and
This game is so good, and even when it's frustrating, it's still a hell of a lot more enjoyable than so many of the games I've played for this channel. This thing is the real deal, and while it may cost a little more than the average PC Otome, it is well worth your time and money.
I love this game to death, and to be honest, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing another spiritual sequel to this series. Maybe it could even be set around an indie game development crew. I don't know. All I know is that Backstage Pass is great and that Otome-Nia is back in business.
Hey guys! To celebrate Season 2, we'll be doing our first ever Otome giveaway. We'll be giving away one Steam copy of Backstage Pass. For a chance to win the game, go to Vitamin H's official Facebook page, share the giveaway post, and leave a comment letting us know what you want to be famous for. Winners will be announced October 15th at the end of the next Otome-Nia episode. If you like what we do, head on over to our shiny new Patreon and give us money for stuff. And if you want to see more Otome-Nia, click the videos above. On the left is the Season 1 finale, and on the right is the first ever episode.